So if you decide that fall of 2025 is going to be the time that you find the perfect house for you in Sarasota, but you're not sure exactly where this market is going, because if you guys see in the news, you guys know that, the northeast of the United States is super hot right now. There's other colder places. Some places in Florida are super cold right now, just depending on exactly what you're looking for. And that is exactly what we're here to be breaking down in this video, is the exact stats for Sarasota for September of 2025. Now, all of this data is being pulled from August, so you guys will really get a solid idea of exactly what is going on in the market, what to expect, what are the trends, is this a buyer's market, seller's market, what you should be doing for negotiations, pretty much everything you really need to know about if you're looking to put in an offer here in Sarasota. So let's get started with the actual numbers here in Sarasota County. So this is going to be a combination of the city of Sarasota and the county of Sarasota. Even though it's all in one county, we usually keep it separated, but for this time go around, we are going to combine it all. So median sales price right now for single family residences are $470,000, which has been actually staying pretty steady year over year compared to last year. And that puts us at about 5.6 months inventory supply, which a couple months ago we were at 7.5, 8 months of inventory. So we are actually creeping down just a little bit of inventory, which is great because it is, right now we're showing that we're in a buyer's market. 6 months supply means that we're in a buyer's market. Anything less is kind of pushing more towards a seller's market. But right now, for what we're seeing is that we are still in a buyer's market, very strong, very easy to put in offers, negotiate, just really depending on exactly what you're looking for. And so with condos, though, on the other hand, that is still up in the air of what's going on with our Florida condos. Now, here in Sarasota, we haven't had any tower collapses like some parts of Florida, but that is what is really keeping people away from buying condos, along with the high HOA fees that are coming up. I mean, I had a recent sale for one of my listings, and I think the HOA was $1,200 a month, and the amenities you got were dismal. I mean, water, trash, sewer, but you had a pool, but you didn't have anything else. There was no like tennis courts, pickleball courts, clubhouse. There was nothing like that. It was just actually pretty minimal, and they were paying $1,200 a year. So it makes sense for why the median sales price would be continue to go down for condos and townhouses. I mean, if you look in Sarasota County, median sales price is $300,000 flat, which is about 18% of a reduction compared to this time last year. We're sitting at 7.5 months of inventory supply, which, if you guys don't know, typically what happens is in the fall, we start taking listings off the market, just because now we're going to start getting into holiday season come October, November, December. So now it's really starting to, people are really thinking, hey, I'm going to live here for the holidays. I'm not going to move wherever they're going to move for sellers. So when a buyer comes in, they're not going to have as many options as, let's say, the spring market, for example, but they are still going to have plenty of options with what is going on in this current market. So right now, the average days on market, depending on where exactly you're in Sarasota County and what it is, if it's a new construction house, 10-year-old house, 20-year-old house, or 50-year-old house, the average days on market right now are hovering anywhere between 63 to 72 days on the market. And this is just really everything: condos, townhouses, single-family houses. Overall, that's just the market in general, which is it's sustained itself for the last 6 months as hovering around that many days on market. Depending on what you're really looking for, if it's in more of a quieter area like Inglewood, these houses are tending to sit on the market more so around, the 70 to 80 day mark. But overall, that's kind of what we're really gathering here. And so overall, we're really going into the fall compared to where we were in the spring. We're really starting to see more of a stabilization of real estate prices here, which is actually fantastic because we have lowering interest rates, which we'll get to. We have more options for buyers to choose from. The sellers are actually becoming a lot more reasonable than, earlier in the year, because everyone thought that their house was liquid gold and they were selling back in the pandemic again. So Taking a look at this, let's take a little bit of a closer look about closed sales, active listings, and really your sale to list ratio. So median sales price, as you guys all know, we just talked about that, was $470,000. Closed sales was 723 houses and units, I should say, for the year, which is a 12.5% increase compared to last year, which is fantastic because this time last year, the market was very unstable. The market didn't know where exactly we were going with interest rates, where the stock market was going, really where a lot of people were predicting an economic collapse around this time last year. So it's really nice to see a rebound that, a lot of people didn't expect. Some people were doom and gloom about this, but now we are starting to finally see that pick up, which is fantastic for people, especially when they're looking to get into a house, because now builders who are sitting on the sidelines with just tracts of land are actually starting to go vertical on their projects and starting to build. So active inventory right now is just a little over 3,500 units overall, which, like I told you, even though we tend to reduce house sales in the fall, we're just seeing more of an inventory because now we're getting into the holiday season. November and December are historically our more lease transactional months of the year, at least. And that's just because it's getting the holidays and later in the quarter. So now we're going to start seeing inventory creep up a little bit. So if you are a buyer that is looking to get into the market, even though inventory, we're taking houses on the market, the inventory is going up because the buyer demand is going down, and that's just the ebbs and flows of the seasons that we typically go through. So last month we were at a 93% sale to list ratio. Now we're at a 91% sale to list ratio, which is still very strong. It is a little bit weaker than last month, but once again, these are marginal data points just because we're dealing with 30-day time cycles. We're not dealing with an overall, a 6-month time cycle. So if we're looking at this, about 63 days is the median time that a house sits on the market, and it's about averaging 105 days from listing to the time of a closing, which is indicating a very healthy and stable market. So anyone that tells you that Sarasota is like a very bubbly market right now, kind of like '08, it couldn't be further from the truth, because we are actually in a very stable market with prices. We're not seeing huge price decreases because the prices have already leveled out to where they should be at. So now we are still seeing a little bit of some slighter price reductions, maybe in the 5 to 6% price range overall. But overall, it's not dropping 20-30% like some people would wish for, because obviously if you're a buyer, you're going to want the best price possible. So taking a little bit of a look, single family houses are going strong. They always will go strong. They, historically, that's just what they do here in Sarasota. Townhouses and condos right now are struggling just a little bit. Like we discussed, we are sitting at a little bit of 18% of a price decrease on average for condos, and we're sitting at about an 88% sale to list ratio, which is putting a lot of pressure across all the condos here in Sarasota. And like I said, it's these HOA fees that keep going up that are scaring people away from buying into a condo. If you guys can see, we're about 16% down from the total closed sales that we've had from last year, indicating people aren't really looking to buy a condo this year compared to what they were looking for last year. Days to sale is about 115 days, which is signifying that this is a very strong buyer's market for people that want condos, that maybe they're okay with paying an HOA fee. Maybe that's totally fine because some people love that maintenance-free lifestyle. This is a perfect time for you to buy a condo because there are plenty of condos to choose from, and you have a lot of people wanting to sell them as well. So as you guys can see here, we're up a little over 12% year over year on the active listings in the condo, which is not any shocker because the HOA fees are becoming a little bit harder to pay for the sellers that have owned these units, that have bought these units, say, for $300,000. Now they're selling for $600,000. They can't keep up with the HOA fees, so they have to let them go. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at some popping markets right now, some great zip codes at this moment that are really, really hitting it. Harbor Acres, if you guys don't know, it's one of the wealthiest zip codes, I should say, in all of Sarasota County. It is where all the, ex-CEOs go. It's where the current CEOs go. This is a tiny little community. Now, this zip code it includes all of Harbor Acres, but it goes outside of Harbor Acres. But this zip code is formerly more known for the Harbor Acres area. So it's great if you want luxury real estate property, with on the water, very close to downtown, probably like 10 minutes from downtown, 5 minutes from downtown, actually. 5 minutes to Siesta Key. You're right in the center pretty much of Sarasota and everything that you would really need. And then we got 34240, which is east of the interstate. It's where all the new construction communities are being built up. So all the tract houses. So any house that you're looking for, really between, let's say, 500 or 600,000 to about $1.2, $1.3 million. That is where you are going to be finding these tract home communities, Neil Communities, MI Homes, Taylor Morrison, Arthur Ruttenberg, all these other builders. You are going to be seeing them push a little bit further east. We'll make another video about this, even though we created one talking about where is all the new construction going in 2025. This is a zip code you want to watch if you're going to be looking to buy in a new construction community. Then we have 34231, which is the Coral Cove community south of Siesta Key. It is where it's waterfront. It's very established. It's not any new construction like new construction communities. They're all infill lots where builders are building new houses on lots, but they're tearing down the houses first before they're building. So it's a great area if you want to be close to Siesta Key, close to US 41. So if you want to go down to Venice, you're like 15 minutes away, 10 minutes away. If you want to go to downtown Sarasota, you're about 15 minutes away as well. So you're once again very centrally located, but you're not paying the huge price tags of Harbor Acres as well. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at what is going on here in the Sarasota real estate market. So there's a supply and demand imbalance, right? Now, usually in a perfect market, we're going to have a perfect balance of supply and demand and so forth. But now we are seeing a little bit more of a larger gap between the amount of sellers and the amount of buyers. It is gradually lowering though, however, which is fantastic compared to where it once was. But we're now seeing a lot more stronger shifts for buyers really getting a little bit eager at purchasing a house now that they've been on the sidelines for 6 to 8 months. Now they're finally ready to purchase a property, knowing that interest rates have been going down a little bit more. They're really excited to get started in this market. Then, of course, we got the new construction. No one can beat new construction. I just closed on a house for a client yesterday, and it was in Nokomis. And what's amazing about new construction is everyone complains about insurance rates, but what people don't understand is their insurance policy on a $600 and some thousand house was $1,800 a year. Everyone's saying Florida insurance carriers are leaving the state. It's terrible. Insurance is high. It's ridiculous. $1,800 is cheaper than they were paying at their new house in Denver when they lived there. So do the math. New construction, old construction, which one would you rather choose? You have more upgrades, you're built to the newest building codes, you're built to high and dry standards, and you obviously have lower insurance rates and you have all the newest materials. That is the biggest thing right now is a lot of buyers are competing with new construction communities out there, and ultimately, if you have the right house, you're going to beat out a new construction community, but it's once again hard to beat out the huge incentives, the $20,000 closing cost bonuses, all that good stuff. The one thing we do have, though, is longer marketing times. So us as agents are marketing properties a lot more than what we used to 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, because more properties are sitting on the market. We have to make our properties stand out. That's why we make these custom, highly edited YouTube videos and short form videos to really capture our future audience's eyes into what an ideal house is going to look like in Sarasota. So all my marketing, we drop thousands of dollars on videos and photography on our listings just because we want to make them stand out, and that is why we have the best videographer in all of Sarasota, and we have the best videos in Sarasota. I've gotten compliments on all of our videos, so it's just a testament to what gets eyeballs on your property and what makes your property stand out in a very competitive market. So another thing is obviously condos. We have condos that if you're looking at getting into a condo, you have huge leverage when it comes to being a buyer in the condo market. The one downside is that you will have to pay a little bit higher of HOA fees compared to single family houses. And a lot of people don't want to be in a condo just due to the hurricane issues and everything. Now that hurricane season is rolling around, we are finally, we're halfway through hurricane season right now. So fingers crossed that we do not get hit with any other hurricanes. So What is it looking like right now for mortgage rates and overall financing? So I'm not a lender. Obviously, I'm not going to speak to that, but I will indicate what is going on right now, which is fantastic, is that the 30-year fixed rates have been going down ever so slightly. Now, it all depends, once again, on your credit score, your income, who you are as a person, everything like that. Right now, we're sitting at around 6.6% is the average. So one of my clients, they just closed on a house and they got a 5.67% interest rate. I have another client that's sitting at a 5.9% interest rate that they just got into. So it's really just depending. Now, we are expecting to potentially see some Fed cuts, or rate cuts, I should say, but that does not necessarily translate to lower mortgage rates, if that makes sense. So it does indicate that we are heading in the right direction, but it's not an indication that it's going to happen overnight. But the great thing is that interest rates have been slowly creeping down a little bit, slowly but surely, but we are actually, guys, getting there, which is fantastic. If you got a pre-approval back in January and you weren't really happy with your monthly payments, now you'll be surprised at how much lower it's going to be compared to maybe where you were in January. So what to do as a buyer in this market. So like I said, this market, you have a lot of inventory to choose from, right? Which is fantastic. You have new construction, 2-year-old homes, 3-year-old homes, 5-year-old homes, 10-year-old homes, 20-year-old homes. Just really depends on where you're looking for and what you're really looking for your family. So with this comes your ultimate selection. You can choose, you have negotiation powers, you have the power of choosing when you want the closing, what price you're going to do it, any, future furniture that may be included in the property, any incentives, buy down rates. You're really in the driver's seat right now as a buyer. So it's fantastic. You have increased negotiation leverage. So like I said, you're able to go for those price cuts, those closing costs, the repairs. And really, if you're trying to sell a house, you can do better timelines than just a quick 15-day close or a 30-day close. You can either do like a 3-week close, you can do a 6-week close. Really, it's up to you because you're the one driving the boat. But the one thing you can't forget about is all these builder rate incentives, which is absolutely insane. Like I said, I had some community offer us $40,000 in incentives, plus their interest rate was like 5%, which was absolutely insane. And it was only like a $600,000 house. So you can't tell me that you wouldn't want to move into a brand new construction house with pretty much bringing zero money for closing costs. You bring your down payment, but yet you have a lower interest rates, not paying closing costs. You get everything new. You have a warranty department. It's fantastic when you're choosing new construction right now. So now we talked about buyers. Sellers, once again, you guys are honestly understanding that, hey, we're not in the pandemic era anymore. We have to price strategically. I even come across sellers that are like, we want to start high and then we'll work our way low. But in this market, you have to put your best foot forward first. And it's not just because you need a sale quick, it's because there's so much inventory out there. So even if you're off by what the market would dictate, $10,000, I don't get offers on some properties because the house may be $10,000 over. Now this is for like a $400,000 or $500,000 house, but that is simply because there's so many other options in your neighborhood or general area that a buyer will choose versus yours just based on price. So from first glance, they're all going to look at price. Then they're going to look at the photos, look at location, flood zones, all that good stuff. But if they don't like the price, they're going to move on to something else. That is why pricing is key. And on top of that, you really have to go all out on videos, photos, and leveraging social media marketing. That is what we do. And that's why I've been putting more and more money into our listings now recently, is because we have to get that exposure on TikTok. I have 45,000 followers on TikTok. We got to get that exposure on YouTube. I have like 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, or 4,500 subscribers on YouTube. You got to get those buyers that are looking on Facebook, which I have like 10,000 followers or something like that on Facebook. You really got to incentivize people to leverage looking at your platform as an agent to be able to, publish all of my listings too. That is what I do. If you guys go to any of my social media channels, you will see some of the really amazing videos that my content team is putting out for the houses that we have marketed. So like I said, eyes are everything. Eyes are currency in 2025. So what outlook are we looking at realistically? So if you're looking at buying a house, maybe in the fall, you want to know what's exactly going on. You want to wait for interest rates, right? I get a lot of people. Well, the thing is, we're in a balanced market. So really, in a balanced market, we do have more negotiation powers as a buyer, which is fantastic. You may be thinking, well, I'm going to wait for interest rates to cut. Well, in theory, now obviously we don't have a crystal ball and anything like that. Interest rates may go down 0.25%. Maybe. But that is where you can leverage into a new construction house where you don't even have to worry about current interest rates because the builder interest rate is going to be significantly lower than the market interest rate, most likely. That's what it typically is. So that is why it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. It just depends on what kind of product you're looking to buy. Because what we can do is we can negotiate a 3-2-1 buy down. We can negotiate buying the rate down. We can negotiate that into the price so that you actually get what you want in the interest rate that you want as well. So know that going into the fall, is that yes, we still have a lot of negotiation power, but yeah, you don't really have to worry so much about the rate because we are holding the negotiation power as a buyer in the fall of 2025. So keep that in mind when you're really thinking about making the move. And then obviously, if you have to sell a house, you got to know what market you're in because you may sit on the market for 10 days, you may sit on the market for 100 days. That is going to dictate when you move into a house down here as well. So timing is everything when buying a property right now in the fall. So if you guys found a lot of value in this, I do actually have this market report. I can send to you guys a link if you guys just click the link down in the description down below. But if you guys just have questions about this market, if you guys want me to answer any questions, or if you guys have been looking at buying a house here, especially new construction, that's my forte. I own a construction company as well, building custom houses. So I know the market in and out like the back of my hand. So if you guys have questions about building new construction, buying new construction, or even just buying a residential house here in Sarasota, you can reach out to me and my team with our contact information right here. And then, like I said, if you guys want our VIP buyers list or our VIP email list, you guys can reach out to us as well. That basically is just going to talk everything you need to know about the Sarasota area. And then, of course, if you want a relocation guides, I'll link those down in the description down below. But once again, guys, we really appreciate you guys checking out this video as always, and hope you guys found a ton of value. And go and catch our next market update next week about Venice or Sarasota, what is going to be the best option for you. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and we'll catch you guys all next week.